All you really have to do as an attorney is communicate. That's it. The biggest law bar association or bar complaint against most attorneys is lack of communication.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, hey, just want to let you know we're still working on your case. Just, things are going well. We'll get back to you in 30 days or whatever it is. Like every once in a while, just having that touch point is what keeps the complaints down. That can be automated. You can set up a communication to go out every 30 days that goes, hey, just checking in, let you know things are going well. We'll get back to you, next month. That's it.
Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall, where we throw ideas, see what sticks, and nurture those that do. I'm your host, Armando Leduc, an actor, entrepreneur, and coach, giving you insights that light up your world. We're here to explore the realms of business, marketing, and life, serving up a shot of inspiration with every episode. Ready to make ideas stick and grow them into something great? Let's dive in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are consuming this podcast. Spaghetti on the Wall, and we are back with another one. Carmella Wilson, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you're here. We're talking marketing. We're talking automations. We're talking taking it to the next level, because here's the deal. When it comes to marketing, if you have all of these people coming into your pipeline, but no way of putting them through the pipeline, and whether or not they're getting followed up with, and whether or not they're enjoying their customer journey, you are missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. And I always tell my clients and prospects that there's so much low-hanging fruit within your business of just people that are in your pipeline that are doing nothing, because maybe they didn't get to, no salesperson got to them because your sales process is not, intact, or, so I'm glad you're here. Marketing is great, but if you don't have a way to convert and you don't have a way to put them through the journey, it is pointless to market. I say don't even waste your time marketing until that part of the process is nailed down. So, Carmella, thank you for being on the show. Give me a 2-minute recap. I know this is, I'm giving you 2 minutes to kind of give me your little life story, but just give me 2 minutes on how you got to where you got.
2 minutes. I actually have an MBA in finance. I thought I wanted to own my own small country at some point. Went to Wharton School, got my MBA, and started working in banking. I did everything from investment banking all the way down to small business banking. Largely after I had my baby, I just wanted to be able to better manage my time. My baby is now 19, but she's still my baby. Anyhow, so I hated every single day of it. And every Sunday I would get sick. And it took me a minute to be able to correlate how I felt on Sunday with the fact that I hated going to work on Monday. So I decided that I was going to just jump ship. This is back in 2015, and I bought a company. Now, I will say that wasn't the wisest decision. I was running from something as opposed to running to something. And it ended up not working out as well as I wanted it to work out. So, about 2 years into it, we decided to close it down. But I discovered Facebook ads while I was running this company because we needed a way to market and bring in clients. I loved running Facebook ads. And so I started, I wouldn't even say a company. It was more like a freelance thing where I just had a few clients, largely personal fitness and gyms that I would run ads for. Love that. And it was going really well until COVID hit and all my clients' gyms shut down. And then I was kind of like, ooh. So I had to go back and get a job, but I got a job doing in-house Facebook marketing. And I started working with coaches and consultants. Eventually discovered High Level, created my own white label High Level solution, which is an all-in-one marketing automation platform, sales and marketing automation platform. And I started targeting who I knew, coaches and consultants. But in the process, I started getting attorneys that were joining the platform, largely from one partner that I had a relationship with who only worked with attorneys, and he started referring a lot of his clients to me. And I realized they had specific needs that I wanted to be able to meet. So I niched down to just working with attorneys, spun Go Legal Flow, which is my company now, off of the old platform that I had. And now I only work with attorneys. And I really wanted to hone in on something that you said earlier, Armando, which is that a lot of times people put the cart before the horse when it comes to marketing. Most of the time when you ask the average, I only work with solo and small firms. We ask them, what their issue is. A lot of them are going to say lead generation, lead generation, lead generation. When in fact, it's probably not lead generation. I bet you 80% of them aren't really managing well the leads that they're already generating. And so I always tell people that they really should start with that client journey on the back end first, because it doesn't help you to go out and spend $300 for a click for a personal injury lead if that lead ends up getting dropped because you can't get back to them in 5 minutes. By the time you get back to them 48 hours later, if you do at all, they've already gone to 5 other different law firms. And you increase your chances of being able to reach that lead by 100 times if you can get back to them in 5 minutes. Automation helps to leverage your time so you can do that. And when you said that's low-hanging fruit, it is low-hanging fruit. You've already done the hard part. The lead has already raised his or her hand and said, I'm interested. Having that automation to follow up with that person just helps to plug that leaky bucket so that you get as many at-bats as possible. Was that longer than 2 minutes? I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but I'm passionate. I'm passionate about that.
No, it's great. I'm glad you said that. I say 2 minutes because I know people are gonna. I never know. I can never gauge whether or not somebody's gonna kind of go on a tirade, and that's great. I loved it. So let's talk about that specifically, and I have my own theories on why people are so afraid of the sales process, right? And how automating that can really alleviate some of that psychological barrier when you're asking somebody to buy from you. Because there is this, I think that a lot of business owners, just across the board, could be, attorneys or whatever, they have such a problem asking somebody for the business, right? Because guess what? That is the moment, right? Is the defining moment, whether or not they say yes or no. And if they say no, boy, that's just the ultimate letdown, right? And so I feel like when we're automating things, it can absolutely take away some of that pressure that we have on trying to convince somebody that, that it's us that they should be choosing. Right. And I think that that's also part of the brand awareness why you should be creating content and why you should be putting content out is because that solves that problem of, is this person who they say they are? Right. That way, when we come down to it and go, hey, do we want to do business together? They go, of course I do. You are, I believe that you are the authority. You're the trusted person. You have credibility. I'm going to move forward with that. But the reason why automations, from my perspective, are so important is that it kind of takes those things out of your hand and makes it easier for people to get the information that they need, so that you're not having to sit there and waste time explaining things over and over again that could be automated to begin with, right?
Absolutely. You've hit on two very important points there. First of all, it's about having that first class experience from the first touch. And I'm going to say something slightly controversial here, but it's what I firmly believe. Most people don't wake up every day going, gosh, I'm so excited to call an attorney today. They don't. It doesn't matter what kind of service you offer. It's not fun for most leads to reach out to an attorney. They're filling out that form. They're calling you because they have some kind of need that they're hoping that you can fill. But what gives you an advantage as an attorney is that if somebody took the time to fill out that form or call you, they're as hot as they can get. Now, whether they ultimately become a client of yours or not, that all has to do with how your sales process works. But they've already gotten over that initial hurdle, which is, dang it, it's kind of like calling a doctor. Who really wants to, unless something's wrong, you're not just calling your doctor going, hey, I just wanted to check in and see how things are going down there at the office. Nobody's doing that, right? And
Yeah.
so if you don't take advantage of the fact that that person reached out to you because they have a need right then you really are missing out on an opportunity. The second thing I'll say that is slightly controversial is from the attorneys that I work with and the spaces that I've been in, I know most attorneys have one thing in common. They want to be the go-to attorney in their area. If you're a family law attorney in Birmingham, you want to be the person that people think of when they have a family law issue, personal injury, whatever it is. They like being the go-to person. And one way to differentiate yourself from your competitors and other people that practice the same type of law that you do is to give people that first class experience from the first touch. How do you do that? It's very simple. Get back to people and then get back to them quickly. That's it. You'd be surprised the number of law firms, and I hear this all the time from just people out in the street that don't even bother to return a phone call. Don't even bother to respond to a form inquiry. Like, what?
Which comes to that automation talk that you're talking about, right? It is how do we in the state that we're in, where we're getting bombarded by emails, when we're getting bombarded by text messages and phone calls, and nobody really has a workflow that people can get into. Everything's improvised. The CEO is the bottleneck on everything. It has to go through the attorney, that attorney to like make decisions about every single thing. And I'm like, why haven't you guys sat down, taken just a week? It just takes 1 week, right? To like really just sit down, and less than that if we can, get somebody like Carmella to come in and really like go, look, you don't even need to sit down and try to figure this out. We already figured it out for you. You know what I mean? Like just implement the things that we already know works, right? That way, all you have to do is just, plug and play, right? And then you're getting out of being the bottleneck in order to actually step into the CEO position. Right. So that you can delegate to elevate.
And one benefit of automation, and I hear people saying, well, I don't know, it's the personal touch, and we're going to lose the personal touch, yada, yada, yada. And I think most people who are concerned about that, it's a legitimate concern, but I think it's people who have experienced a very bad automated process. I don't know how many of us, I'm sure there's a large percentage of the people that are listening, I know it's happened to me, where you call a company on the phone and you get stuck in this kind of phone tree loop, and you just keep saying, representative, because you need a person, and it just keeps taking you back to the main menu. That's a very frustrating experience. That was because nobody sat down and considered the client journey to begin with. Like, how is the client going to actually experience about this? Maybe we should put a stopgap in here that if somebody says representative twice, let's just get them a representative. Let's not ask them any more questions. Let's not get them all frustrated before a human answers the phone. Let's just put them on the phone with a human and figure it out. Like, nobody did that. And that's why you have these frustrating experiences. So when we work with our clients, we start with the client in mind first. And it's just more like a friendly interview. Okay, so what happens next? And what happens next?
Yeah.
And what's supposed to happen if that doesn't happen? And we actually build out an entire client journey blueprint. And we use that to build the automations from. So we don't just go in and guess. This is what we think. I mean, we can give you our opinion based on, best practices and things that have worked in the past. And a lot of times I'll have to say, hey, you do it this way, but we can cut out 3 steps if we did this. What do you think? Like, that is what we do. But it really comes down to what your personal and unique client journey is for your firm and building your automation around that. I think the mistake people make is buying the software first and trying to figure out the automation before they figure out their process.
Yeah, and they're all just they're just concerned with like, closing cases and closing cases and closing cases. And that's it. And I'm like, y'all need to slow down. There's a really good book called Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. Have you read it?
I have not. I have to add that to my list.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's great. I had him on the podcast a few months ago. And he really talks about the different phases of the customer journey and how are we creating wow experiences within each of those phases, right? Because it's like, okay, how do they find you, to when they're considering you, to when they, join you, to when you're in, there's the moment of regret, the buyer's remorse phase. And then like, how do you get over that? And then how do you how are you showing success, and have we done the job well done? And, if you're getting your client testimonials, and at what point do you do that? And, so it is that book just taught me so much about the customer journey and really putting ourselves in those moments, because when you're in an accident, this is the first time probably that you've ever been in an accident. So they don't know anything. And we take for granted what we know and what we think is common sense and what we think is like, oh yeah, doesn't everybody know that? Be like, no, they don't know that. No, nobody knows that. Let me just tell you that. Nobody knows anything. You've got to spoon feed them, and you can't overwhelm them either, right? Like that's also a part. It's like you can't just like give them all the information at once. Sparse it out. Give it to them in bite-sized pieces, right? Which is why automations are so good, and to your point, can create that personalized approach, because you can put videos in those touch points with your face, and it makes it look good, and it's thought out, and you know what I mean? Or you can use automations to like remind people within the organization to send a specific trigger, right? Like, hey, they're in the deposition phase. Make sure that you guys send them the deposition video. Or, hey, this is happening. Make sure that this is going out, right? And then, so I think people also, when they're thinking about automations, aren't necessarily thinking about the internal notifications that could be automated, because I think they're just thinking of, oh, it's automated and it's just going out. Well, some of that stuff can just be triggers that happen internally, and for us too, right? Like we've set up Go High Level so that at every single touch point, it's either an automation going out by itself, or it's an internal notification to let us know that now they're in this phase and we have to send them this video.
And this is what you need to do next. Right.
Correct.
After you get that trigger fired. Yeah. It's super important. It's really, I like that you mentioned internal and external, because that's really what it's all about. And part of the reason why we grew from just doing automations and workflow build outs in our own system, Go Legal Flow, and move into as a part of what we offer, helping to build out workflows in law firm management software such as MyCase and Clio we're going to be adding, is because we sat down and said, it's great to have all this amazing automation from the point where the lead comes in until the point where they become a client. That's really where Go Legal Flow shines. But what happens after they become a client? If it looks good on the front end, and then by the time they become a client, the system on the back end is busted, like it's not doing what it's supposed to do, how are you going to feel about that whole experience you had with us? Now, it has nothing to do with us. That's a whole separate software, but it does kind of reflect on the experience. And so we thought, we kind of need to, figure out how we can help get that whole process as automated as possible, so they just really feel good, not only about working with us, but about how their law firm operates efficiently. And you're right, setting up things like internal and external notifications is important. External being the communications you have with the leads and the clients, but internal being the communication that you have with your staff or whoever's responsible for a lead or a client at any given time. They need to know when certain things need to happen. A lot of it can be automated, and so those internal notifications can just be, oh, by the way, this just happened, just wanted to let you know. But sometimes it may be a task that a human needs to be involved in. We never pretend like we can automate every single thing, because that's not possible. But if it's something that's repetitive, that you do every single time over and over again when something happens, 99% of the time, that's something that we can automate. And that's what we try to uncover when we have those blueprint sessions. Yep.
Let me give you a number. 270%. A client of mine in Fort Lauderdale created a customer journey experience that at the end of it created a 270% increase in referrals from past clients, current clients, because they had their customer journey in order. So if you're thinking, okay, how does this translate into revenue? How does this translate into a better customer journey experience? Like, that's where it's at. Like, when you have your stuff together in automation, when everybody is experiencing the business, they know exactly where they are in the process. They're not left in the dark. There's never a time where they're not being followed up with in some capacity. That's not just like here's what's happening. Like you can actually put out more care touches and actual client touches that like when you reach out are from a heart perspective instead of just like mechanical. And I'm telling you, 270% increase in referrals.
That's
that
amazing.
increase
That is
as a result
amazing.
of having a stellar automation and customer journey. So
I
yeah,
mean, you
tell
have
me.
not because you ask not, right? So many of the clients that and the leads that I talk to don't have a process for requesting those referrals or requesting Google reviews. And I don't know about you, but when I look to work with a new vendor of any sort, guess what I do? I go on Google and I type vendor near me for whatever the thing is that I want. And whoever pops up and has some decent reviews, usually, better than the second guy, that's who I'm going to go with. And so it is important to have that be a part of your standard operating procedure to ask for those referrals, ask for those reviews. And that can be automated at different stages of the client journey. It's just something that will help you. And it's low hanging fruit because they're already
Yep.
hopefully happy with you at that point. Why not refer you to somebody else so they can have that great experience? The other thing that I wanted to mention, just to go back to something we talked about earlier, and I want to talk about specifically about attorneys again, is that the bar is so low when it comes to creating that first class experience. Like, you would be amazed. All you really have to do as an attorney is communicate. That's it. The biggest law bar association or bar complaint against most attorneys is lack of communication.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, hey, just want to let you know we're still working on your case. Just, things are going well. We'll get back to you in 30 days or whatever it is. Like every once in a while, just having that touch point is what keeps the complaints down. That can be automated. You can set up a communication to go out every 30 days that goes, hey, just checking in, let you know things are going well. We'll get back to you, next month. That's it.
I think I think a lot of business owners treat this as an afterthought and put this on the back burner, and they shouldn't, but they do because they're just too concerned with the deliverables and the working and then sales and marketing. And then it's like when they come in and they actually have the client, then they forget about them. They're like, oh, they're already in. We can just move on to somebody else, right? And it's like a relationship. When are you married?
Yes.
Yeah.
28 years.
I'm married too. Like you can't just be like, all right, set it and forget it, right? Like you gotta date your wife, you gotta date your husband, you gotta keep that relationship going in some capacity. Just because they gave you the money, that doesn't mean that the relationship stops. And there's so many, not just attorneys, but there's so many businesses out there that's what happens, is that they get the money and then they're moving on, And I'm like, no. We've got to make sure that we're constantly in communication, not just in like giving them information, but other ways that shows a heart-centric approach. Right. I like to take the 5 love languages, right? And I apply it to the business. So I am gift giving. I am words of affirmation. I'm giving acts of service, quality time. You know what I mean? And I give them hugs when I see them. So I'm at every moment, every week, I try to hit people with one of those 5 love languages, right? Because I know that if I'm doing that on a regular basis, people understand that I care. And some people will be like, well, if you're automating it, is it really from the heart? Be like, yeah, just because I planned it doesn't mean that it's no longer valid, that it takes away some of the value of it. Absolutely not. I actually want to do that, and I want to make sure that I'm on top of that. And as a result, people feel that I care because I do care. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you could say that again, because I think that's somewhere where people get confused. They feel like automation takes out the heart of it. And it can if it's not done right. But you really should be creating an automated persona that's very similar to your brand persona, right? So that there's no disconnect between how you sound when it's automated versus when you're sending out a personal email. Also, having a system set up that allows for 2-way communications helps to mitigate that a bit, because if you send me a text message or you send me an email and I respond and then, somebody gets notified internally and they're able to send out a response relative to what you just said, they don't even really have to know that that first touch was automated, because it sounds like now they're responding. Now a real human is actually responding back to them. So I think you can mitigate that with just, preparing and planning for your automation to be just an extension of your brand.
I don't know if you're doing this yet, but here's the next level. Here's the next level, right? We're talking sales and marketing. We're talking customer journey. I want to talk about employee journey. I want to talk about recruiting. I want to talk about how are we using automations in order to recruit the top A players into the organization and have a journey for them. But then I also want to keep employees that we have currently happy. Mm-hmm. And what are the touch points that we're doing and creating for workflows and automation to keep them happy? Because we started doing that short time ago. And I'm going to tell you, productivity went up. People are happy. We have a high retention rate, which is fine. But I wanted to make sure that all the employees are seeing that we're doing all of this stuff for the clients, right? But if we're not keeping our employees happy, and we're not doing things for them, and we're not reaching out to them, and it isn't planned, I promise you that revolving door is going to be, it's just that churn's going to be high, mm-hmm. right? And you're not going to be able to keep people happy because you're just so customer focused, right? But if you understand that your employees are the ones that are handling most of these calls and are in constant communication, then you got to keep them happy. So are you guys, and you may or may not be doing this, but maybe you can talk about how could we create automations for the recruiting aspect and for the employee aspect?
We're not doing a lot of that internally right now, but I have some ideas, and I'm glad to hear that you are, because there certainly is a place for automating when it comes to employee, even contractors. And I think it starts with, I don't know so much about the recruitment part of it, but certainly once the person gets hired, that onboarding process is definitely something that you can smooth out with automation, like making sure that people get access to your employee handbook or training materials or whatever, like before they start. Most people will get a job offer and they may not start for a week or two, right? And they may have another job they've got to give notice to or what have you. You can't, I guess, ethically have them do work before they're technically an employee, but you can let them know what to expect on day one. Right. On day one, you're going to get access to blah, blah, blah. This is what we want you to start doing. I don't know about you, but I've had a few jobs in my past. And most of the time, the first day you get there, it's like, did you know I was coming? Like the manager maybe knows, but there was zero plan for a smooth onboarding feel. It's almost like, oh, well, dang, she's here now. Can you come show her how to do, So what does that onboarding process look like? Hey, wouldn't it be nice if we had that, if let's say you work in the office or even remotely, wouldn't it be nice if that employee already had their computer day one at the house or at their desk? Like instead of sitting around for a week waiting for you to go order it from Best Buy or wherever you're getting it from and ship it to them. Right. Maybe had some instructions on how to log on day one. All that stuff can be automated.
I'm going to tell you this. People are going on a journey, whether you plan it or not. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you plan the journey for them. But if you don't, they're going on a journey. It's going to be a fucked up journey. You know what I mean? Like, pardon my French. Like it really is. Like, okay. And now all of a sudden your company or your firm looks like it doesn't know what it's doing because the onboarding hasn't been planned out. Like these things have to be thought out. And it doesn't. Here's the thing that I learned from a mastermind group. Sloppy execution is better than perfect perfection. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people when they're approaching anything is like, it has to be perfect in order for us to launch. And to an extent that's true, but also don't wait to launch something just because you're waiting for it to be perfect, because it's never going to be perfect.
Agreed.
So if you already have, be like, all right, you already know sort of checklists and what they need to be doing. So like put them through that. Have a nice welcome video. Hey, welcome to the firm. I'm so glad you're here. right? This is what you can expect. These are vision, mission, core values. This is how people, this is how this works, this is how that works. Weekends are off, blah, 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 what the expectations are. And then like, boom, boom. And once again, feed them in bite-sized pieces, what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. That way they're also having a great experience through this whole process. So I'm super happy to talk to you. I'm glad you're in my network now. We're definitely going to be in conversations. Tell them where they can find you, Carmella.
You can find me at GoLegalFlow. That's GoLegalFlow.com. You can find out more about what we do there. You can book a call with me. We didn't even get a chance to talk about our automated intake bot, which helps to cut down that response time to seconds versus days. Like, we didn't even get a chance to talk about that.
Let's do that. Let's do it right now. Let's go. Let's go. So talk to me about it.
So it helps to leverage your time when you're getting those leads that are coming in. Like if you're running Google ads, Facebook ads, or people are reaching out to you via contact form or Facebook or Instagram, we actually have an automated assistant, we call it, that can respond using very human language, because it's powered by AI, to those leads when they come in, and it engages them, finds out more about what they need, and can actually lead them to booking a call or tell them more about your firm or what have you. Responds in seconds. So
that's amazing.
Now you don't have to worry about somebody getting back to you within 24 hours or 48 hours and possibly missing out on that lead because it's cold, where you're getting that instantaneous response from this automated assistant that has been trained on what you do and how you speak and what you want to say to people. So you can wake up to new appointments booked or new inquiries and that type of thing. It works 24/7, never takes a vacation, doesn't ever get sick. It's a beautiful thing. And it's designed to handle those initial low-level conversations, to tee it up so that when your intake person does get back to them, then they've already gotten a lot of that basic information out of the way.
That's amazing. Yeah, look, Go Legal Flow. Carmella is the answer. If you guys need automations, if you guys need things running, I highly, highly, highly recommend fixing your automations, fixing your intake, fixing all of that before you start pushing the gas on marketing. Because it doesn't matter if you get 100, 200, 300, 400 people calling you on a monthly basis. If there's nothing you can do and you're not getting back to them and the customer journey is messed up, like, you're missing out. That's the low-hanging fruit. Figure that out. And no, you know what? Here's the thing. Don't figure it out. Just hire somebody that's a professional that can do it for you. You don't have time to figure it out. Smart people like Carmella here exist. Just lean on them. They'll tell you what to do, and then that's it, right? Just move forward.
Thank you so much, Armando. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I appreciate you being here. We'll be in touch. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. Talk soon. Bye.
And that was Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by Leduc Entertainment for all of your video production needs, podcasts, social media content, video business cards. You name it, we got it. Keep watching, keep listening, and we'll see y'all next week.